My New Year's resolution for 2025 is I'm going to learn less and I'm going to be less motivated. I have absolutely loved YouTube podcasts and podcasts in general. I've learned so much. I listen to finance podcasts, workout podcasts, nutrition, interviews, spiritual things, interviews about people who've persevered odds. I like the Jocko podcast. I just could just go on and on and on for all the things that I love about YouTube or Spotify podcasts. And I got really sick in over Christmas time, and that was something that came to me, just that I really need to take a huge break to break up in most ways with YouTube and just learning online. Over the last year or so, my hands started getting numb and achy. I'd have to shake them at night. They were mildly painful. And what I can tell is that it's probably due to carpal tunnel symptoms that are coming from repetitive motion. And the only times that I've had relief from this for um, a significant in a significant way have been times where I don't use my phone much and I don't drive, which have been over certain vacations. I really think it's my phone, just the whichever method I use, it adds up. And so often when I'm listening to a really good podcast, I have to pause it if, say, maybe my earbud is out of range, or if I have to talk to the children, and I'm then I'm drawn in too as well with the next thing to listen to. I'm often so drawn into my phone due to all this learning and listening. And I'm not going to say that that was really a bad thing, but I'm really convinced that now I need a break. So it's been about 8 days. I started before the new year. I just really thought, I need to stop this. I need to stop being so engaged with my phone. And I can't say that I'm getting any more done than normal, but I do feel like my brain is calming down in a way. It just feels calmer. I'm also definitely less likely to view my family as an interruption because my brain's not super engaged somewhere else when they do want to talk to me. Whereas before, if I was listening to some really good content, I would have that little slight feeling of irritation. I got a bunch of CDs from the library because, too, that's one thing as well. I'll be on Amazon Music, and just the way the shuffle changes, then I have to reorient the music lineup. And I just already feel like I'm going so, I don't know what it is, old school 90s, but I got my CD player on the kitchen counter. I'm using it more. And what I also notice is I'm using it more with a mindset of, oh, this is something my whole family is going to listen to, not just something for me or in my earbud. And I think that's a good choice. I already noticed that my son, my 4-year old, was enjoying singing along to some music I played. And it's not like I never would play music for him, but I think this is going to be a really good thing to be more engaged. And honestly, I don't know if at this point I need to learn much more in the areas that I was learning. And I think I was just using some of those podcasts just for motivation. Like, I don't really need to learn much more about realistic workouts that I could do right now. That was often why I would listen to these fitness content podcasts or interviews or whatever. I have a diet that works really well for me when I do it. It's the 21-day fix. I already feel like I've been convinced about the need to balance weightlifting and cardio. I just feel like, well, I learned a lot, and maybe this year I'll just calmly keep doing what I was doing. And I wonder too if with some of these other areas like decluttering podcasts, I love The Minimal Mom. I love Dana K. White. I was starting to get into some other frugal, fit, organizing moms. And I would often tell myself that I'm doing this to stay motivated to keep going on the same track. But maybe I don't need that motivation. Like maybe I'm just going to do just as much as I was before. And who knows? We shall see. But I do feel like I have been so blessed with the content that I did get from these podcasts, especially with some of the decluttering mindset info. That was helpful for me because I'm probably like a natural hoarder and I never really, I wasn't comfortable as a young adult getting rid of stuff in a systematic way. So I think it was good to get it, to dive into that material. But at this point, I just need to live my life and do it. So we'll see. I really want to check in with this idea later this year and see if it was as needed as I feel like it is. One thing though that I was telling my friends initially, like, I'm just going to stop listening to things. I'm not going to learn much and just maybe more like cold turkey. But then I backtracked and I feel like my goal now is still pretty extreme compared to what I was doing, but it's more realistic. So my goal is that I'm only really going to listen to podcasts or interviews or whatever when I'm by myself. Like if I'm in the car by myself or if I'm taking a walk by myself, then I think I'm giving myself a pass. I already was listening to some podcast interview, or I don't know what it is. It was almost like a true crime series about the founder of Operation Underground Railroad. Anyway, I was enjoying that podcast and I just feel like, okay, that's fine. Those are going to be limited times where I can really just give my focus to this content and not feel like I'm pulled away from the dynamic of my family. So, I mean, that is still pretty extreme. And I'm really curious about if it changes me somewhat. I am not convinced that I need to get rid of my smartphone or anything like that. I definitely use my smartphone as a tool for shopping, grocery orders, communication, all that. But wow, I've noticed I've dramatically used it less. So that's going to be interesting to see if it keeps up. My hands feel better already. And there is one interesting thing that came up. I guess we're going to have a house guest maybe in the next couple months, and he's been pretty influential in some of the Christian circles that that we are part of. And I don't know him, but he's done like some interviews online, and his testimony is online on some of these channels that I really like. And I realized, oh, like if I keep this up with this low information diet that I'm on, I might actually not listen to any of his interviews before I meet him. I might have to get to know him like a normal person, like I used to in the past, where you'd actually talk to somebody and ask them questions. And it's just funny because that feels like going back to the Stone Age or something, like where usually I can learn about, well, certain people before ever meeting them. And so that's going to be interesting because, yeah, I truly might not have time to hear about some of his stories beforehand. So definitely this whole technology thing has changed the way I interact with people. And maybe it's not all bad, but I think this will be interesting. Maybe it's going to be kind of like a fast or something like that. I am still going to read books. When I'm on my program, like my daily checklist, I do try to read at least 10 pages of something. So I'll learn in that format, but I do feel like my norm has been this rush of information coming in all the time. And it'll be interesting to see what my brain is like without that. So I guess this is going to be the year of willful ignorance for me. And, you know, my, I guess that's just going to be the way I'm going to be. I'm not going to know probably much about what's going on, maybe even in the world. It's really exciting, you know? So I wonder if anyone out there listening has their own unusual New Year's resolutions. And I'd love it if you commented and shared down below. God bless. Stay ignorant. Just kidding. Bye.